Now, I think that we could all agree here that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been floundering, especially in 2023, due to the many box office failures and lower expectations from the overall fandom due to the box office disasters, such as The Marvels, by the way, which was one of the big failures by both Bob Iger and director Nia DaCosta, along with, of course, we can't forget about Kevin Feige, who also played a role in why that movie failed terribly. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, and a lot of others over at Marvel Studios and Disney has a lot to do with what they are aiming to do with many of the 2025 Marvel movies and exactly what lies for both Phase 6 and Phase 7, which, by the way, is still a far ways off. But we know that there's a lot of changing, alright, a lot of alterations being made ever since we had the loss of Jonathan Majors when he got fired as Kang from the Marvel Universe. A lot of things have been getting shifted around here and there. However, when it comes down to Bob Iger and what he had to say about the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, things aren't looking too bright, not for 2025, and especially for all of the other titles that we'll be releasing afterwards. So let's get into all of this, shall we? Now, one thing about Bob Iger that we could all really agree about here is the fact that this man is very deliberate in what he is doing with the Marvel Universe. Everything is 100% intentional based on what he has said before in the past and what he says here about the MCU. Let's discuss. Now, specifically, alright, on top of everything here, with Bob Iger actively making announcements about the future of the MCU from Marvel Studios and where it's heading for 2025. Recently, however, Iger went on to deliver the following about the future of the Marvel Universe. Our plans with what we hold for the future of the Marvel Universe, thanks to Mr. Feige, will allow us to pursue original stories. Our number one priority right now with our many titles to be released next year will not only divert from our past usage of source material to follow an unpredictable path for our customers and fans of the Marvel Comics, but we will also establish diversity, equity, and inclusion in a unique fashion into our many projects like Brave New World, as well as our other projects like, of course, with the new iterations of both Blade and Fantastic Four that will disconnect from source material to create an unexpected turn for the franchise that we are very passionate about. We look forward to transforming these iconic stories with our films apart from what was done in the comics to create something unexpected for our audience. I am proud to also announce that Kevin Feige, who has been leading the Marvel Universe in a successful direction, will be taking advantage of this direction with our projects like Blade, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and our next Captain America film that will be our most anticipated film yet. With our insertion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, creating a fair world for both our characters and actors universally, we can expect to reach many different cultures around the globe to accept our films and television programs that remain within this franchise. Our main goals for next year and what lies for our next phase of Marvel will revolve around DEI as our number one priority. This is not to be misunderstood as any form of an agenda on our part from Disney, and as CEO, I believe it is our responsibility to create a fair working environment for everyone and for us to promote that within our characters and stories to tell for the years to come revolving around Marvel. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment before I get to the next big thing here. Now, we know that Bob Iger really does not care about the core Marvel fans, right? It's very similar to what he is doing with both Kathleen Kennedy and the director of the upcoming Rey Star Wars movie that's going to be 100% focused on an agenda rather than a story, alright? So Bob Iger has no intentions of dialing back or quieting down the noise as he promised the shareholders a couple of months ago. This is a big example of Bob Iger lying yet again to everyone around the world. We all remember that big thing that he said like 2 months ago, that he promises to quiet down the noise and that Disney is not anything about, entering into a culture war or supporting these agenda-driven strategies, which, by the way, he always recycles that. He always says this on and off many different times, and it's all a big lie to string along the customers, as he likes to call them, of all things Marvel, especially for Star Wars as well, and, you know, in this case, Marvel, but as well as the shareholders. You know, he is trying to keep the shareholders intact from losing their grip and walking away from Disney, because that's basically their bread and butter at this point. They want to make sure that they have a lot of investors that are going to support their many business models, whether it's, you know, anything related to Disney Plus, or just their films, or anything related to ESPN/Hulu, the parks, you name it. Bob Iger will say whatever he has to say to get things done. So moving on here, this is where things unravel and get even more intense for the Marvel Universe, and exactly what looms for everything revolving around these upcoming movies for 2025 and beyond. So he goes on to conclude, "We will be starting this new approach with one of our first films for the Marvel Universe in 2025 with Captain America: Brave New World, as we aim to completely reshape what Marvel is all about to gravitate it toward a wider audience. Creating a fairer world is our main priority right now to enhance the cinematic universe to our customers, and we hold no concerns over creating any form of division in this field, as we hold much faith in Kevin's direction for the Marvel Universe moving onwards, as we look forward to working with him and his new vision for what Marvel films and television should promote along with our many brands." So that's another problem that we are facing right now with Marvel, is that obviously Bob Iger is doubling down on their usage of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not to mention they're also diverting from source material. And this is something that was always to be expected for Phase 6 and Phase 7, as we already know that they are fully, you know, embracing an all-female-led X-Men film that's also going to divert and disconnect from the source material in the comics to kind of create their own spin on the X-Men. That's one big example there. So Bob Iger, Kevin Feige, I mean, these two people are the biggest problem right now within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that even in a world where Bob Iger was not the CEO, I'm not even quite sure if things would have changed. We all have to point the finger at some of the top shareholders like BlackRock and Vanguard that are supporting all of this nonsense over at Disney and funding all of this craziness within the Marvel Universe. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time right now to see where Disney is going to be in 2025 after many expensive failures that are going to begin in February of 2025 onwards. We also have Snow White in March of that year. It's going to be an interesting year, to say the least. Many Disney failures are looming, and they don't seem to have any kind of connection with reality. So I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.